BXB. It's in the game!
Hey guys, it's me Ben, back with another one of my reviews, and this time I'm looking at the latest Need for Speed Payback. This is the latest installment in a franchise that's now existed for nearly 25 years, which is frankly incredible to believe. And this is another one that's been developed by Ghost Games after taking a couple of years off. And here we are in the new land of Need for Speed Payback, which is an open world racing game set around a cinematic driving experience following the characters Tyler, Mac and Jess, which are all playable depending on the different types of races and events you will compete and experience within Need for Speed Payback. And the biggest problem I have with Need for Speed Payback are those characters and is that setting, because Ghost Games and EA did a fantastic job of getting me excited for Need for Speed once again with the showing that happened at E3. There was a strong Fast and the Furious sort of vibe to the trailer and to the gameplay they showed that made me really excited and enthused about this franchise once again. And sadly, what we are given with these characters, with Tyler, oh my god, Mac and Jess, is just the most bland, insipid, dull framework for an open world driving game I've ever experienced. And frankly, I'm playing this on Xbox One, and there's some fantastic open world driving games on the platform, you know, considering the existence of the Forza Horizon series, which doesn't really mess around with lots of story and baggage, just gives you that world, lets you play in it, lets you create the events you want to create. And instead with Need for Speed, we have this wrapper, this concept of Payback, of a story driven by revenge, but the story is so weak that I can't really understand even really why Tyler, the main sort of character, the white protagonist douchebag, is even really out for revenge. The things that happen to him at the start of this game are so minor, the events so completely just sort of flaccid that he doesn't really have that motivation for what kind of goes on later in the game. And then these revenge missions are sort of, they're heists that, you know, really are the cornerstone of the single player experience. You have to sort of wade through cookie cutter races and cookie cutter events to get to them, and when you do, they're okay. So I mean, like in Need for Speed Payback, we have various types of events. We have off-road, we have street racing, we have drag racing, and then we have various kind of go here, collect this thing, look for that thing in the open world. And then we have these heists, which are kind of like adversarial combat moments, and they're fine. It's an interesting mix of the sort of previous Need for Speed games we got here with that combination of racing, off-road, combat, you know, avoiding the cops. And they've kind of tried to put all the different elements we've seen in different Need for Speed games previously into this one wrapper. And to be honest, they're actually quite good. The open world feels like maybe a Forza Horizon from a couple of iterations ago. It's got various things to do it, but it's not exactly the most engaging. The weirdest thing is that there's not a lot of traffic, even in the city areas. Everything feels quite bare, and I imagine that's been tuned to focus on the racing elements, and that makes sense to a large degree. But the sad thing is, while the racing is fine, if I would say the control of, say, the handbrake in this game is very, very strange, the racing is fine, all the cars have nitrous, you feel a good sense of speed, the game looks good while it's doing the racing and while it's moving you around, and the music is, wow, the music isn't very good at all, and the voice acting is kind of laughable because of how bad the characters are. But it's this wrapper of these ridiculously dull, insipid characters that all feel so cliched. And when I saw that trailer at E3, I got excited because I was thinking of the idea of family that is so well conveyed in the Fast and the Furious series, the idea of a group of diverse characters with different backgrounds coming together to, you know, really do some outlandish, crazy, over-the-top stuff. And as the story progresses, yeah, the heists do get more varied and interesting, but sadly the things you have to do to get you to those points just feel like so much of others, so much stuff that you've seen and done so many times before, and it's not terrible. It really isn't. I think the driving is serviceable, the world is interesting. I played this for review on my Xbox One S and my Xbox One X, and on the Xbox One X it looks really good, the HDR really helps the lighting pop, and the game in general looks nice. It just feels like stuff I've done before, and I'm thinking to myself, perhaps it would be different if you're on the PlayStation platform that doesn't really have much in the way of standout open world racing games. Sure, it had the multi-platform release of The Crew and things like that, but it doesn't have that Forza series that does it so goddamn well and that nobody else can really seemingly come close to. I admire the fact that Payback has tried to throw so many things into the ring here with the different sort of races, and yeah, the off-road races do feel genuinely different to the street races, and they do feel different to the drag races. And yeah, as you'd expect from a Need for Speed game, there's huge amounts of cars available and customization options. There's this new introduction of the system called speed cards, which or race cards, which I'm not a massive fan of. They've sort of abstracted an element of the tuning scene into what kind of amounts to a collectible card game, which you get from loot boxes and things like that. Yeah, guess what? Microtransactions do play a part in this game, and that means you can unlock various upgrades by paying, for these things with real money, and that's not such a big problem. This is mostly a single-player experience. There's some asynchronous multiplayer aspects to do with rivals and such, which we've seen before in the Forza games, and that makes some of the races kind of fun. One of the things I did like about the racing system in Payback is that you have this option to kind of do these side bets where you can wager some of your winnings from the race to do certain objectives, be it stay in front for a certain amount of time, destroy so many objects, stay in a certain position, do it in a certain time, all kinds of things like that, and you can get more money from winning the race, or winning the event, and actually achieving that side bet as well. And that's nice. That adds some depth to it. There's obviously a leveling system as you'd expect, lots of cars to unlock, lots of customization to do. But man, this game is really hurt by the insipid wrapper. If it didn't have such a flaccid and pointless story with completely mystifying characters that make no sense, that have next to no motivations for the things they're doing, if it didn't have all of that, and it had actually really worked hard on creating an exciting storyline like what I thought we might have got from a Fast and Furious sort of inspired experience, then this game would be a really cool experience. But as it is right now, it's just a bit dull and a bit flat. Because of that, it's only a 3 out of 5 stars.
BXB. It's in the game.